Here is the mind architecture model again. This section of it is what we went over in the first part of this series, and now we'll move further on. It's also important to know that the model is divided into these two broad sections. What we covered in the first video is called the emotional processing domain, and everything else is called the synthetic processing domain. I'm curious to see if by the time we'll address a specific topic, you can figure out what the differences between the two domains are. Anyway, coming back to complex objects where we left off previously. They are, again, conglomerates of functions. The example with the apple that I gave in the first part can extend to anything else. And now meta-objects represent the association of multiple such complex objects. In other words, we're talking about situational conglomerates, the function derived from a multitude of objects. Think of it as a snapshot of the current circumstances or the circumstances of an event. Any activities will have meta-objects: walking, playing, celebrating. All of these are not derived from any particular object, but from the relationship between the objects. Next come complex meta-objects, or as I call them, sequences. Technically speaking, this is when temporality becomes a factor in all of this, because sequences are associated situations where one situation leads to another one. The sequence dictates the primary function of the situations it is composed of, and therefore the functions of the complex objects nested in the selected situations. Sequences are by definition composed of only two situations. They follow a kind of transitive law, and their purpose is predicting the value of any situation, let's say situation A. The rule is that situation A leads to situation B. In other words, we learn that if A happens, B follows, and that is the sequential value of situation A. And we can have multiple chain sequences, but at the end of it, we're still gonna have initial situations and predicted situations. And that is important for a variety of reasons, including the matter of the importance of details in everyday life, because even one added or subtracted detail in any given situation can change the whole narrative, which is perhaps partly why gratitude practices like in journaling are so effective. Experiencing, paying attention to more positive situations develop more positive predictions, and with more positive predictions we feel safer to actually move forward and take chances in life. And it's not a delusion, you just see more of what's out there. And likely, the more you look and the more novelty you encounter, the higher the chances are that you are going to spot those things that you can be grateful for that will change your outlook onto life. And now, moving even further, we'll look at some relatively new additions onto the model. The first one is what comes from associating different sequences, different complex meta-objects. It's what I call an archetype. It is what's common across all sorts of different sequences, because we experience a lot of things, and it seems to me that most experiences actually can be placed upon or have in common this dimension of success. In other words, it seems to me that what's common across all activities is the manner or the degree to which we successfully and or safely adapt the challenges they imply. And that is, I think, the essence of archetypal experiences. They are experiences of degrees of success. But actually, there might be even more to this, because unfortunately we cannot control our experiences. We might predict some of them, but ultimately we are the playthings of our experiences, so to speak. And what I'm implying is that archetypal experiences are sort of like these global moral characterizations of the self. Personas, roles, or masks, if you want. It's when I get to, in a way, meet this stereotypical type of character within me, right? The god of rain, the goddess of love, knowledge, music. Archetypal experiences are when the world starts to feel like it makes sense. Sort of like when you learn a new thing and suddenly you can't help but see it everywhere. And finally, we'd have complex archetypes. So here I think a solid introductory description of these experiences would be the sense of understanding and comfort itself that you get from being able to adapt to the world. So that is probably the highest level of experiencing in the synthetic processing domain, and as far as I can see it, it's also very rare. And I'm not sure to what extent it is desirable yet, because what it implies is a high level of stability, which may be correlated with rigidity over the long run. So yeah, there are lots of questions and directions we could go to from here, and I do have some ideas in mind to kick off the next videos in the series. Until then, it would help me if you leave this video with a like, comment, and subscribe. And now have a good one. See ya.
Wake up every day, I have some food and everything seems like it's going to be fine. Then all of a sudden shit